Okay. So just let me. So when starting like this, actually contests are almost like they've said this is the problem to be solved, right? Or something like that. Like there's these mathematical, if you can prove this type contests. Um, but there's one that pops to mind. So I haven't read about it, but innovate FPGA contest applying technology to address global challenges. Sorry, I have to start deleting some of this stuff. Where'd it go? Oh, so your vision. Once registered, learn more about. I wanted the link rather than the email. Okay. So that's one contest right there. There's IEEE Micro Mouse. There's Formula F Racing, and that is run out of the mechanical engineering. Anyway, we haven't participated in that in a long time. Anyway, so does anybody have any contests that they know about? even if might not be one for us to compete in.
Sir, I have a question. What's a contest?
Oh, sorry. Um, let's use this example. Oh, and I just had an idea. I just have to write it down before I forget. So essentially, the contest will tell you kind of what the need is. They want you to come up with a solution, and they give you like some kind of challenge, right? It'd probably be easier to see. I mean, it's probably better to watch this particular video, but basically they will give you a specification, right, to actually make a product that meets that specification in a certain amount of time. And then, you get graded on it. Maybe it'll be easier if I show you so like the micro mouse competition, you build a little robot, and I guess I don't have a picture, but you build a robot and you're graded on, did you follow the rules, right? Because there's conditions, right? And how fast did your thing make it through the maze? There's the first in the world robot. I think it's first in the world. First robotics competition, right? Where I'm just trying to find one where it just rapidly tells you. All right, here it is, right? High school students build industrial-sized robots to play a difficult field game in alliance with other teams, right? And so you just so there's like, they'll give you what you can and cannot do, and you just have to follow those rules. There's the chemical car contest where you have a car that runs on some chemical reaction, and it's not really how fast you are, it's based on how accurate are your calculations to predict how far that car will go, or the car is supposed to get to within a certain distance, and it's open loop. There's no feedback method where you cross a trigger and it stops the car. It's all based on, like, if you were making a vinegar and baking soda propelled car, right? That if you added so many grams of vinegar, so many grams of baking soda, right, the car would go a certain distance very repeatably, right? And so that, there's variances in the makeup of vinegar, there's variances in the makeup of baking soda, right? And there's even variances in, you think you're weighing out the same, right? So how accurately can you get it to do what it's supposed to do? Is that enough? I feel like I'm floundering a bit here, although maybe
Oh,
Alex put a nice thing in the chat.
that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So let's come back.
So another question, Professor, do usually multiple teams compete in one specific contest, or every team comes up with their own contest and
Oh,
try to, yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I'm trying to find the TI contest. Um, you don't, like, a senior project team doesn't come up with a contest that then they compete in. They find a contest to compete in, right? And it can be from all over the world, from the state, from the county. Um, maybe they don't run it anymore. Electronics Online. I used to just get emails about this. Hmm. Maybe they stopped doing it, or the one I had in mind. Did I answer your question, Iman? I might have gotten distracted.
No, just one part is that can teams pick the same contest, or everyone has to have their own contest and prove their own project?
Oh, for senior project?
Or isn't this what we're talking about, or this is after?
Oh, okay. So somewhat this is a little bit generic. It doesn't have to be senior project. You can do this as a hobby. Um, but I mean, if everybody, let's say somehow we got the whole 198A class to agree. They said every team is going to submit to this contest. Okay. Every team is going to submit to this one. Okay. There's nothing preventing that. I've just never seen anybody think about it that way. But that would probably take Professor Twee Lay saying, you know, we want to be famous for this. So, you know, I want everybody, every team is going to compete in this contest, you know. And I mean, you know, the instructor can do that. But there's no limits. You know, if you were like, oh, I'm going for the micro mouse competition, and you find out another team is, oh, great, even better. Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you, sir.
And the grade is, you know, 198 grades are not like, well, did you win or not? What's this? You know, Alex, you're on that. Oh, here it is. Innovation challenge.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just looking through links.
Oh no, what I'm
Finding.
saying is you found a good link. You're
Okay.
already on the document.
All right.
You could just put it there. You're already there. And your documentation's like better than mine. Now yeah, like engineering challenges. Uh what is that one? Elon Musk. Hyperloop. Um, so there's these grand challenges for engineering. Ooh, advanced personalized learning. We can work on that. Okay, those are some good challenges. right? I know that there's a human powered helicopter, right? I saw some video on it, and you got to stay in place for a certain amount of time, things like that. Hey, Alex, I saw this thing. You put a link in the green sheet, and then you said, very helpful. Our team is struggling. Which team?
Which team? My team? The team I'm on for the senior design project,
Okay.
and struggling with topics. Like we have some foundations we're trying to build on, a project I already did, and we're trying to find ideas around that. But there are a number of difficult things we've run into. I can elaborate if you want.
I'm just, so I think, so just so everybody, to bring everybody up to speed, Alex, she has a team that's kind of meeting before the semester starts, and they're trying to come up with their project. And she says she's struggling. And I just want to say that that's kind of natural, right? And usually we have this conversation together. You guys are ahead of the game, so our conversation will go much more smoothly. But I think it's time for the team to meet. Um, you know, so the semester's coming up pretty quickly. So I think if you circle me in, we can have this conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good to know.
This is more. So Professor Pat Becker and I submitted a Department of Education grant to increase the number of students in undergraduate research. Okay, and it's like a $5 million grant. We'll know in October, but the timeline's pretty intense. So we were able to get $10,000 from the dean to kind of get jump started. All right. And so part of that is I developed some curriculum for students to get started in research. And so what we're doing right now is actually I'm getting ready for that conversation to maybe more formalize it as we go, and actually seeing how students interact. Okay. And the thing is I'll put it in the chats, but you should all have, access to the document. And so you can, if you have an idea, just in a link, just put it in there, but then shout it out so that the conversation can continue. So here's the link to the document we're working on here. Okay. But these are just like big ideas, things like that, just to kind of get going, because as even as transformative as 140 is, you probably weren't asked to come up with something new, right? And a lot of times in engineering, we're trying to teach you how things work, how to use things, but we don't necessarily develop the muscle of coming up with an idea. Okay. Now feel free, if like of an engineering challenge, just to put it down there, just to get into the habit of speaking up. Just like Ayman said, today. Like, don't be afraid to speak up, put yourself out there. You'll regret it if you don't. So you can just, if you knew of another contest, just type it in. But now what we can do is we'll start like, what problems do you see? And now I'm going to go around round robin, right? Like, what's a problem in society that you see? And it can be any kind of problem, and you don't have to have a solution or even know how to begin on a solution, but maybe something that really bugs you, right? I will give one example, and I hope not to steal your idea when I do this, but a lot of our students have grandparents with dementia, and the problem is to be able to take care of somebody with dementia, where the patient and the family can still have a good quality of life. Okay, that's like a problem, right? So that could be solved. Oh, well, I didn't want you to write. That's okay, Alex. You keep writing. But what I meant is, no, just finish it. I wanted you guys to just take a moment and either shout out your idea or tell me what it is, and I can write it or Alex can write it. And so now I'm going to go round robin. Let's see. Come back to Zoom.
I'll go.
Okay. So,
Yeah, so one thing I see as like a problem is there's lots of people who are interested in doing something about climate change and being more environmentally friendly. But some of our low-hanging fruit options are like Amazon. And there's a gap there because we totally have the technology to where we could make it easy for people to, for example, on a reoccurring basis, buy products that are more eco-friendly.
okay. So yeah, I hate feeling helpless. And God, it just seems like, we have, we're we're a little bit beyond, well, that hurricane could have been stronger because of climate change, or maybe we wouldn't have had we had more hurricanes this year due to climate change. So like, we are on fire. And the West is making the air quality of the whole country bad, right? And what can we do about it? Like, you read about it and I want to do something, right? Um, and it can be very disheartening. Like, I was dropping my son off. I needed the car, so I had to drop my son off somewhere for his school, right? And I'm driving by a local charter school, and there's probably like 200 cars waiting to get in to the charter school to drop their kids off because there's no busing, which is probably a political thing, right? And every single car is not just a little pickup truck, but a huge pickup truck or a huge crossover. And yeah, that's probably kind of judgy against people who are driving big cars that they may or may not need. Um, and you're like, my God, we have this report that came out, but every single one of those cars is like brand new. Um, and so, and even like, we need infrastructure. I don't know if you keep up with politics, but yeah, we're going to be building infrastructure to make it easier to keep driving our cars. And public transportation is getting less than broadband, which is getting, actually, I think broadband is more than regular infrastructure, but public transportation efforts are like the low end, right? Now, I'm just saying, or things were really hot and it turned out that it killed off the starfish. And so then um, the sea urchins ate all the kelp beds in the West, which were sequestering carbon, right? Now, for instance, for that like specific issue, they have these guys going out hunting uh, sea urchins to see if they can bring back um, the kelp beds. Although I'm not quite sure, why not try to bring back the starfish that died off? And you know, but anyway, I mean that's something I heard on NPR. So I think that's great. Did you want to add to your idea then, Alex, based on what I just said?
These are just problems, not solutions, right?
Well, you could add to the problem or narrow
Narrow
the
it down.
problem,
Yeah.
or
I
just leave
think,
it.
yeah, I think I'm okay as is. I was gonna add the article about starfish.
Oh, right. Understand. You don't have to write down what I say.
I know, but
Okay.
I guess maybe some people don't know, but I do.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is
All right.
interesting.
Yeah. So I guess the way I work is, yeah, I listen to a lot of NPR. And so then things are just clicking. So now if you're good, then all right. Let's go with you, Ayman. What is a problem that you think facing society or the world or community?
Um, I know when I go about my everyday day-to-day life, there's a lot that take mental notes. I'm just trying to dig them back up.
Oh, all right, sorry,
Yeah.
that was just your intro. Do you want to move on while you get your thoughts together?
Yeah, please move on. If I
Oh,
have
okay.
something, I'll say it. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No. I'm going down the list of that I see in the thing. Edward, how about you?
Hi, yeah, I think sometimes it's more easier to see what you can change by seeing what you can improve in your day-to-day life. So but have like an electrical engineering approach to it. So one thing that that I'm seeing is a Raspberry Pi competition. Basically, it's uh, freedom to design whatever you want using a Raspberry Pi, and I think that in its way has its own advantages because you can see like something simple like, oh, I think this has a problem, but you can see, wait a second, maybe this is the way that we've always done it can be improved on by something as simple as a computer, a simple computer.
Okay. So can you find that contest and then, oh, okay, you did
Yeah.
it. Okay. It's great. I tell you, working with you guys, just if I have a problem of being down or whatever, working with you guys brings me up. So you guys are kind of like my solution. But what I'm hearing is, so like we started with contests, like specifically what do EEs do? And then there's challenges, which are like, here's this world problem, and you have no idea how EEs fit into that. And then we went even like higher, almost higher than that. What problems do we see in our lives? Because at least the engineering challenges, right, were created by engineers. These problems up here. So that's kind of why I started in that order. Is like I wrote it out this way, but then we did it, lower level. So that's not really a problem.
Sir, I have a question.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna move you out of that area. Okay. And I guess, yeah, there's two kind of approaches. Find things that you can work on rather than big ideas. Top down problem challenge, see how you fit into it. And then another one is in your particular field of study, research papers. Okay. So what I just put there is like in your own field of study, another way to do things is you read research papers and you're kind of finding out what's somebody might have gotten something to work and you can figure out how to improve it. But in EE, right, the trend is if you have something, can we make it lower power? We have something, but can we make it compute faster? Can we make it transmit faster? Right? Maybe one material like, you know, we had lead in electronics, so now we have like lead free, right? Um, can it work at a higher temperature, like Venus or combat, right? Lower temp, space, right? Things like that. Sorry, I just. But do you? Oh, you're taking off. All right. Hey, take care, Ed. Ed had to go.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Justin, do you have a problem? Sorry for saying it like that. Do you have like a problem you've noticed, something you've seen, something that you would like to fix?
Professor David.
Yes.
I'm not sure if this is going to be say how to see involves. It's basically just something of a phenomenon, but
Just write it out or
increase-
just say it. Yeah.
it's the increased use of silver in renewable technologies. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
increased use of silver as in electric and energy conduction, including renewable energy demands, electric cars, and space economy as well.
You know what? Hey, Justin, why don't you write it out? Oh, silver. Oh.
A turn to prominence.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do.
More satellites.
So increase efficiency of solar power. And the solution is you're saying try to increase the use of silver because it has a lower, a higher conductivity.
Yes.
Oh yeah, God, trash just drives me crazy. All right, so where'd it go? All right, so Lon, trash. And I'm gonna say graffiti. Let's see, oh God, I can't even spell it. I hate graffiti. Graffiti.
Sir, I have a question.
You know what? I'm sorry. Somebody had
No,
a
you're
question. I
fine.
totally ignored it.
No,
Yeah,
you're
what's the
fine, you're
question?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering if Teslas or electric cars, I was wondering, and so the problem of them charging at once and them running out of battery, I was wondering if there was an internal generator that can actively charge it the way hybrid charges when you don't press gas and you allow the wheels to turn, and then it converts that mechanical energy into electrical energy. So I was wondering if there's a more efficient way for electric cars so that you don't have to keep charging it every time it runs out.
Are
An
you
effective internal generator.
are you familiar with regenerative braking on electrical vehicles?
Is it the same concept that's being applied in hybrid cars?
I don't know about hybrids, but effectively it's using the momentum and the engine when you're slowing down to feed energy back into the battery. So you're recapturing the energy
Yeah.
and storing it for later. I think it's similar to engine braking, kind of, in a regular car.
I think electric cars have regenerative braking, but it sounds like almost an odd definition. Hybrids have an actual gas powered engine to charge up the battery. Where pure electric, well, if I added something, well, then it wouldn't be pure electric. Almost like though if, but see, that's like how. The problem is improved range of electric cars. And sometimes we don't want to get into the how, but it's okay, like to say, well, I'd like, can we include silver, right? That's kind of a how, right? But the problem is, I'm still gonna, the problem I'm gonna state as power is, power loss in transmission, okay? Because even a solar cell, you have to transmit the power out of the solar cell to somewhere, right? So to me, that's the problem. The solution is reevaluating silver or using silver, right? Here, like, adding a generator. Adding a generator on EVs is more like a solution, but more efficient electric cars or improve the range of electric cars is kind of the problem. But even then, right, or I'll call it global climate change, right? That's the problem. One solution is a more efficient electric cars, right? You see, but it's all good. So, but did I get your thing right, Iman, about adding the generator?
Yeah, just a more effective generator. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
something definitely to help um to help charge the battery or provide a small external source within the car that can give it longer range and miles. Improve the range, yeah.
yeah.
I also have another thing. I know there was a phase of hydrogen cars and then they kind of stopped. They kind of just disappeared.
Yep, yep.
Maybe if there was a different form of fuel.
So I'm gonna just say improve hydro cars. Hydro. That's right off the top of my head. I don't know what the things are. But your thing, Justin, about the space, I just remembered, although I don't think it's a microsatellite. Oh, what is that called? CubeSat, that's it. So cube satellites are like these student run things. You got to fit it inside a cube. And the aerospace people at San Jose State do that a lot. Although I don't think it's a contest, but maybe I'm wrong. So, but I know our aerospace engineering does a great job. They do that.
Sir, I have a question. I've always wondered if there were devices that could actually capture what's going on in a molecular level in terms of electrons. Because it would also help students of future generations really understand a world that they cannot see physically. And if they have an actual physical um, image of what's happening, it becomes easier to understand this whole world of of microscience.
Yeah, that's and so right, there'd be like some sensing technique and then a whole bunch of electronics to make that work. So right now, a lot of people, right, you might just buy the new equipment, but you know, this is kind of develop a better microscope. Well, it's not microscope would you're using light, but is there another way to monitor molecular actions? Excuse me. But yeah, and um, did everybody get to go?
Oh, sir,
Okay.
I have one more
Oh,
idea.
oh yeah, sure.
I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah. So this was something that occurred to me the other day. So basically, so I have an iPhone and have AirPods, and then there's an app on it. It's called Find My Such and Such Apple Device. So when my AirPod was missing, unfortunately, if it runs out of battery, you can't connect to it. So the thing is, the annoying thing is that the AirPod must have enough battery to at least connect through Bluetooth on your phone, and you must be in range for it to actually activate. So if it runs out of battery, you may never find it again. So what I thought would be a much better device, and not even connected to the iPhone, just an external device that you can program it to to the AirPod, basically to another external device. When it's offline, you can send a small signal that the AirPod somehow, or the future AirPods, they have a very small amount of power just for this reason stored away in a small bank, so that this device could send a signal no matter how far away it is, and it could show you maybe the location, like like one of those devices when you go camping and it works with a satellite only, no phone service, nothing, something like that, where it could show you where your AirPod or any electrical device, it doesn't have
Hmm.
to be just Apple, Samsung, anything, and even your car or something like that. But yeah, basically it beeps it for you from a distance, basically. Offline, that is the operative term.
Yeah. Right. Or can it like it might be offline, but can you grab just enough power from like Wi-Fi, not to communicate, but just to suck up enough to give you a ping that it's in the room even. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's certainly something. Might be deceptively simple, but actually very hard to do, and actually would probably use your 140 quite a bit to get that to work. So now I'm just going to change scope just a little bit, or tactics, is that, sometimes, yeah, as an engineer, here we have a power supply. And when I talked about like efficiencies and things, like let's just get the data sheet. So this is an existing part, right? So efficiency, this is the current out, right? 100 milliamps, 1 amp. And the VN is 36, 48, 60, 72. And we're going for 5 volts, I assume, right? And so that, yeah, low currents, you have a low efficiency, but yeah, we're up here around 80. Okay. Well, so a very specific project, right, would be to improve the efficiency, right? Which might not seem like a big problem, but this is for 5 output non-isolated telecom housekeeping power supply. So this product is like buried within a product, buried within a product, buried within a service, in a system that you as any regular customer would never ever see. But if you could increase the efficiency, right, you could really lower the power, right, used across the nation, if you will. So, and this, would make a good project too, right? I don't have no idea how to increase the efficiency of that right now. Probably 130, 136, right? Yeah, that's probably where you would learn the basics to figure that out. Okay. But those are all great ideas. I think that's probably enough to get started with. Then yeah, and probably next week we can try to figure out, where are we? How to take a particular problem, right, and start coming up with either solutions or whether that's something we can or cannot do, right?
Sir, if you may, I just have one more thing
Oh, sure.
on my mind. Yeah. So I was wondering about 5G, and based on research and well, a lot of other I've heard a lot of people saying is that for 5G, it's definitely what our phone services are saying. It's not actually 5G yet.
Right,
It's in the
right,
process, of course. Yeah. So my question is that because a lot of people have been saying, and through research, of course, that the waves, once it reaches actually 5G, it's actually going to be kind of dangerous to be used inside the city, and it's actually safer to use out in um, out in areas where there's not a lot of heavy human traffic or a lot of buildings. But because off the buildings and the glass, it gets reflected back into the city and so forth, like a lot of it when it travels in the air. Um, so that's the thing, is that these are radio waves that are actually harmful, and once we reach it, if it's actually used in the city, it could cause a lot of damage to generations of humans. So how can we find waves that are a lot less dangerous is the question. And I believe they have been, or they are currently in the process of, but yeah, that's the thing about waves. They're tricky, is that as the penetrative power increases, the danger to the human body increases exponentially as
right.
well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I haven't looked into that, right? Um, Now, yeah, I mean, with microwaves, they kind of figured that out because people's chocolate bars were melting in their pockets while they were working on these long-range radar stations, right?
Are you sure their pants weren't insulated?
Yeah, right. I mean, you could heat up a chocolate bar with your own self, right?
Yes,
But
you just have enough body heat. Pull it
yeah,
off.
yeah. But you know, that's like an anecdote from World War II. So I'm not going to be able to verify that. I haven't heard about the dangers of 5G, right? Um, but there's something about astronomy it's just something I heard that if we went to 5G, I think it's like radio astronomy. There's something that we couldn't study. There's a real problem with it. Just as I would have to Google it, right? But they're like saying, yeah, 5G is this. However, if it was really blanketed, like they say, then there's something that we lose, some ability.
From Google, it says radio astronomy is the study of celestial objects that give off
Yeah,
radio waves.
right.
So
It's just we have the radio telescopes. Uh,
I've always been wondering though, the question at hand is the Earth has its own special properties, the planet, and it's isolated through from by its atmosphere, its layers of its spheres, and that's what preserves it from the dangers of outside the planet Earth. So I was wondering, is what we are discovering here, is it only limited to within the Earth, and can we actually bring something from outside of planet Earth into here? Is the question. Or are
when
we
you
blocked
say
off in terms
when you
of
say
waves?
bring, oh,
Like what if the solution to this problem is an electromagnetic wave produced by Mars or something, but we just can't bring it because the spheres are locking us in of the planet.
well, we're getting the background microwave radiation from the beginning of the universe. So we're able to detect that. The trick would be is, yeah, any, like if you are thinking of a non-human communication radio wave, yeah, would be um, a lot fainter than that. But I think, you know, we certainly, if the signal exists and we can recognize it, I'm sure that it's detectable. Again, but what the 5G is doing, like I said, I'd have to Google it right now, right? Now, yeah, as far as danger, I, you know, I would just have to investigate that. But it's certainly, I mean, you got to watch when you get to ionizing cells. Um, and I think you have to be really careful with, you know, what is and is not a danger, right? Because there's like ELF waves was turned out to be from basically just a bad application of statistics. So, but it could be a problem if people think 5G is unsafe. It could, that even if it is, doesn't matter if it is, if people think it's unsafe, um, that could certainly cause issues. But yeah, there's the idea. We just have to look into it more. Oh, there's more chats. Right, the atmosphere protects, but also the magnetic field, if I recall. That's actually super important because the atmosphere would be stripped away by, you know, the solar wind if it wasn't for the magnetic field. Okay. Anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Professor, and have a great weekend. And thank you for making this available for all of us.
Yeah,
Really
no, it's
appreciate it.
my pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye, Alex. Bye, Justin.
Thank you for your time, Professor David.
Okay, take care.
Have a great day, Professor.
All right, bye. Let's end.